Queensland is officially open to the rest of the world. For the first time in almost 2 years, international tourists can visit the Sunshine State without having to quarantine. Georgia Simpson joins us live from the Gold Coast. Georgia, what are the latest developments?
Well, Anna, the first flight from Singapore touched down in Brisbane earlier today, and it is one of 6 international flights expected to arrive into the Sunshine State today. And as you mentioned, for the first time in almost 2 years, passengers on those flights can skip quarantine, provided they're fully vaccinated and do return a negative rapid antigen test within 24 hours of arrival. So it's a very exciting day for so many people. There'll be many reunions, I'm sure, as people see each other for the first time in many, many years. At Brisbane Airport yesterday, there were just 500 people moving through that international terminal. Today, there are more than 1,000 thanks to these flights, but it will still be some time before we see pre-pandemic numbers of around about 17,000 people. Brisbane Airport CEO believes that the passenger numbers will remain low for a little while as they start to build up their flight paths with other international airlines, and he does believe that although it is a very exciting day, it will be some time before the aviation sector begins to recover fully.
This is fantastic news, and it's a very good start, and it's more than a glimmer of hope. It indicates that there's light at the end of the tunnel, but the recovery is going to take 3 to 5 years to be back to pre-COVID levels. The reasons for that are that initially still there are large parts of the globe where people cannot travel freely into Australia.
As for who's on these flights, Anna, well, mostly Australian citizens, but the Tourism Minister, Sterling Hinchliffe, believes that we will also start to welcome back international students now that they won't have to quarantine. So over the coming weeks, we'll be welcoming back those international students in a preparation for the start of the university year.
I'm very focused today on welcoming those people, particularly on that first Singapore Airlines flight, welcoming those people who'll come in and might be students, some of the 30,000 people enrolled in Queensland universities and institutions who can return to face-to-face studies. That's a really welcome opportunity, and doing that without having to quarantine is very, very welcome for those institutions and for those students.
And Georgia, the latest COVID figures have been released for Queensland today. How many people are being treated in hospital?
There's 884 people being treated in hospital at the moment. 52 people are in intensive care, with 18 people on ventilators. There were 15,050 cases of COVID-19 reported or recorded, I should say, in the last 24 hours, with 10 deaths. The Chief Health Officer, Dr. Gerrard, believes that since the borders have opened, about 250,000 cases of COVID-19 have been reported in Queensland, but he thinks that the true number could be much higher, as there are people, he says, who probably aren't getting tested because they may not be aware that they have the virus. As for when the peak of cases will hit Queensland, based off modelling in New South Wales, Dr. Gerrard believes it could be in 2 weeks, but he does believe that it will hit the Gold Coast first.
Queensland was likely to reach its peak about 2 weeks after New South Wales, and we're likely to see the peak in the Gold Coast, first of all, probably sometime in the next 7 days, and we're looking very closely on a day-by-day basis at the data coming out of the Gold Coast.
So it's interesting to note there, Anna, that different regions or jurisdictions in Queensland could experience a peak of coronavirus at slightly different times. But overall on the Gold Coast, we are expecting a peak of cases here within the next 7 days. Dr. Gerrard is also urging Queenslanders who are eligible for their booster now to go out and get that booster, as it does give you extra protection against the virus. Anna.
Important messaging, Georgia Simpson. Thank you.